This is Made for More Living with Johnny Jennings, powered by eXp Realty. Online at madeformoreliving.com.
Before the break, we were talking about Bay Area buyers and how there are a lot of Bay Area buyers coming from, moving to the Sacramento region, but they are not like the driving force in the market. And that got me thinking about a Bay Area buyer, Full House. Did you guys watch that show growing up?
Oh, absolutely. Uncle Jesse.
Definitely.
Danny Tanner, Uncle Joey, Michelle, Stephanie,
oh my gosh.
DJ Tanner. Come on.
I barely know the name of the show. I didn't. It looked funny.
We were huge. We watched it in the reruns. We'd watch it every afternoon. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, it was a huge show.
So that's what you would do on your day offs is
watch Full House.
Yeah, there you go. Well,
it was a great, wholesome show for the whole family. It was really good.
Everybody could giggle about it and have a good time. Well, I guess the house was recently listed for $6.5 million.
Bargain.
It's a bargain. And this article, it's on Realtor.com, talks about how would a news person, what did Tanner do? He was a morning news anchor?
He was a morning news anchor, yeah.
Yeah, so...
Good Day San Francisco, I think it was called. Good Morning San Francisco.
And how would he be able to afford the home? Because even back then on a $50,000 salary, there's no way you're buying a house.
It was a hit TV show. Plus, he had Uncle Jesse and Uncle Joey who had to contribute to the mortgage.
That's true. He was Airbnb-ing those rooms out.
They lived there for a reason because he couldn't afford. Can I say this though?
Yeah.
In 1998, the median price in San Francisco was just below $300,000. Now it's more like 1.6 to 1.7 million. But this show 10 years prior during the MC Hammer days, it was surely lower than
that's a good point.
In the article, it says in 1990. When Full House aired, the home had a price tag of
$725,000. Yeah, that would have been a lot for back then. I'm curious, does it say how many square feet it is? How many bedrooms? How many bathrooms? Does it give the description?
No, I can find that, but it doesn't talk about
it. But what did you say the price is?
Today, $6.5 million.
So it's for sale for $6.5 million.
Yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. The thing you have to consider about that is you're going to have a lot of tourists coming to your front porch, wanting to take a picture, knocking on the door. Hey, is DJ, is Uncle Jesse here? You're gonna have to deal with that a lot. So I don't know.
No, it's an issue. I know there's a Brandon with Bigger Pockets, an investment website. He once bought a house that Kurt Cobain was his first house when he was a baby. And then his tenants would start complaining and be like, hey, there's people coming over and taking photos at all times of the night, because you'd have these tour buses from Sweden or something like Cobain's house. And so it was interesting because you buy a house, it was a duplex, it comes with some baggage, it comes with some looky-loos, and so you just got to kind of be aware, you got to be comfortable with that. It's going to take the right type of person.
Here's what I would do. If I had the money to purchase this house, I would create a tourist attraction. I would redo the home as much as I could that looked like the interior of the show and charge tickets. Create it into a business if you're allowed to do that.
If zoning allowed.
If zoning allowed.
That's always the thing. But I would step back and say you could buy literally almost anything in the Sacramento region. Our highest price ever is $7 million. There was a Shingle Springs property, or there was a property in Loomis, maybe two that sold at $7 million. And so, you could buy literally almost anything that's ever sold in Sacramento for that price, or the Full House. Wah, wah,
I don't know. That's debatable.
So
there was Eddie Murphy's house as well. How much did that go for? $20 million?
No. I think in its heyday, maybe it sold for, what was it, $6 million?
Oh,
and
really?
Then it sold again for less. And it's actually, that one I think will be hitting the market at some point. It's got some baggage that I'm not sure we should talk about here. So.
We don't want to disclose it. But so assuming today's mortgage rate, roughly let's say about a 6.99%, 7% interest rate, 20% down, and a 1.7 tax. So everything all lumped in with a purchase price of $6.5 million. You'd have to, the mortgage payment with taxes, insurance, and everything, about $44,000 a month. So you'd have to be knocking down a few appraisals to be able to...
just a few, yeah.
I'm curious who would buy that home. Because like you said, it does come with a lot of baggage. You're going to have to deal with a lot of traffic. So I don't know who would find that house appealing. That would have that kind of money.
They probably jacked it up. It's probably not going to go for 6.5. It'll probably go for less. That's my thought. This is a a get attention type of home.
And for some people that does it where they're like, man, I this bragging rights, I own this house, like if Dave Grohl owned something in Sacramento from the Foo Fighters, I'd be like, I'd love to own that house.
You know what I found out recently? I have not verified this, but supposedly Dick Cheney had a house in Los Lagos. Oh. I did not know this. I don't know if he still does or if the family owns it or whatever, but I was like, that's interesting.
Also, staying alive, John Travolta had a home here.
Really?
Yeah, right?
Did he? I don't know.
Yeah, John Travolta flew out of here, yeah.
He was in the movie in the 90s in Auburn, I know that. So.
That's why he's done a couple movies actually here locally. And part of it was because I think he either had family here or maybe his wife had family here. So he had a house up there in Granite Bay area. Yeah.
So now that Leonardo DiCaprio's shooting a movie over here, maybe he's going to buy a house?
Right. No, I don't think we want that.
We don't want him?
We don't want Leonardo DiCaprio type of celebrity. John Travolta, Eddie Murphy, we're okay with that.
Yeah. I would not want to be Dick Cheney's neighbor. He might shoot me. That's all I know.
I didn't know we got political on this show.
I was thinking of a shotgun joke, but I was like, I shouldn't say it. But hey, I'm glad you did. Thank you.
I'm not afraid. We're good. We're good. So the reason why we have Ryan on the show today is he is the go-to guy that appraisers go to. He's the go-to guy that realtors go to when they want to have conversations about market stats and just figure out like specific hard to appraise homes. And he's going to talk to us a little bit about the good and the bad of what he's seeing in the real estate market right now. So what are you seeing? Let's start with the good. What are you seeing good?
So I'd say the good news is that we're no longer at 2023 lows. And so we had sort of the worst, number of sales ever last year. And this year we've seen a little bit more new listings, so sellers aren't quite as stuck as they were last year, and more pending contracts, which is good. That's exactly what we want to see, more buyers and sellers participate in the market. Yeah. And I think, that's the positive part. And then if we switched over and gone, well, what's, negative about that? Well, I'd say that, we're in a place where a lot of people are still stuck. And it's kind of like we can look at last year and go, yeah, it was the worst year ever in many decades, at least for volume. And this year is the second worst year on record. Yeah. And so, we're really subdued. But in practical terms, think about it this way. This year, the positive news, we've had about 2,000 more new listings hit the regional market January through May. Okay, but that's down about 5,000 from the normal number we would have seen hit the market. And so we're still nowhere close to normal. But what happens is that, with those 2,000 more listings, it changes the dynamic in the market. It's not quite as tight. And so what we've seen today, there's a wider gap between the number of sales and the number of active properties. And so the temperature is not as extremely hot. And so the sellers just really need to watch that. Need to be priced right. About 36% of the market has price reductions right now. And,
So almost 1 in 3 homes.
Oh, yeah, a little bit more than 1 in 3. And, really for the rest of the year, we should see price reductions increase. That's what happens in a normal seasonal pattern. But price reductions are a little bit higher than usual. And that speaks to, I think, sellers sort of, being out of touch, being like, hey, you got to be in touch with the climate of buyers. I always tell sellers, like, hey, go to Mortgage Calculator, see what it costs to buy your house. It's probably not going to be $44,000 like the full house home, but sure. But it's a lot more than a lot of people think, and buyers are very picky about condition, price, and location, and hands down. And so buyers are patient too. They'll be like, "Hey, I'm not going to pull the trigger on that one." To throw in Dick Cheney again. No, just kidding.
Oh, gosh, pull the trigger.
Yeah.
So, but to your point, what I'm seeing is a lot of sellers they need to net more out of the home because they're either going to stay local and now have a mortgage payment with a 6-7% interest rate on it, or they're retiring out of state and they need every penny. This home is what all of their retirement funds are tied up in. And so they do like to try and sometimes test the market a little higher, but the market just is not having it right now.
Yeah, I mean, and nothing wrong with testing the market, but there's that point where you have to listen to go, okay, I put this on Craigslist, no one's buying it, I better lower the price. And the same thing happens in real estate, to be realistic. And I think for sellers, I mean, prices on a regional level are down about 3 to 4% from the very peak in mid-May 2022. Mm-hmm. Okay, they're up from last year, and so we're actually not very far from those peak prices that we had when mortgage rates were below 3%. And so I think sellers just need to kind of look at that, and in some cases choose not to be greedy also, and just go, here's what the market's willing to pay. the market doesn't care what sellers need. The market only cares, or representative buyers, of what buyers are willing to pay. So that's the only thing that matters.
Do you still think there's some pent-up demand because of these interest rates and just lack of inventory?
Absolutely. I think we're in a market where the math just doesn't work for a lot of people. And so that's why we're missing about 35% or so of the normal number of buyers. Okay. And so it's a weird vibe though today, because you have missing sellers and missing buyers. That's why it's been competitive, because we're missing all these listings. And, absolutely. There's a lot of people who would be participating in real estate right now if the math did work in their favor. There's people who want to move, but it's just not going to work right now. People who want to downsize, people who want to upsize, and people who want to, leave the state or whatever they're going to do. There's lots of reasons. And so, one thing I will say is that I've seen in the stats that 55 plus communities have done a little bit better.
Really?
Sun City, Roseville, Sun City, Lincoln, their volume has been pretty strong this year so far. And I think, that speaks to sort of lifestyle moves, where buyers are like, hey, it's time to downsize. How much time do I have left? And, or buyers who are of an older demographic who would say, I just want to move closer to family. My time is limited. I check death clock. And,
oh, gosh.
I only have a little bit left. And so I think that, a lot of people just look at their life and go, where do I want to be? And, maybe now's not the optimal time, with math, but, I'm going to move to Nevada County, or I want to be in Grass Valley, or whatever it is. And, people should do whatever they want to do.
Absolutely. Yeah. You got to keep your finger on that death clock. But when we come back, by the way, before we break, if you are thinking about buying a house, or even maybe thinking about selling as well, and you're like, man, those interest rates are just killing me, and you would like to get an interest rate that's 1%, 2%, 3% below what you're seeing on the websites when you look up the mortgage calculators, or maybe when you're reading the news or listening to the news, go ahead and give us a call. Shoot us a text at 530-GET-MORE. That's 530-GET-MORE, and we can help you get a lower interest rate, get you into the home, and help you start accruing equity while everybody's sitting on the fence. Back after this.